Hey folks, David Carswell back with episode 3 of Deep State Secrets. Very quickly, while I've got everyone's attention, and you can't do this, no one does this, but this shows how much it's not about me and my precious channel, it's about others. Nate of Canadian Prepper, I love your channel. You are good. You ad lib at least as well as I do. You're extremely verbal like me. You studied psychology. I can tell you've got some gray matter, but I care about you. There's one thing you lack. You said yourself, I knew if I watched enough episodes of Canadian Prepper, you'd say it, and you did. You said, I am an agnostic. Dude, I don't want to see you go to hell. You've got the intelligence, but you don't have the wisdom. Please wake up. The hour is late. Accept Jesus as your Savior. Nate of Canadian Prepper. Enough said. Let's get on with the deal. All right, first of all, I'm indoors. I'm on the road, and my main job is not to make these videos, okay, but the Lord wants these secrets exposed because September, and maybe you're watching this in September, is going to be the beginning of this circus, carnival, throwdown, shindig. I mean, you're not going to believe it. Once it starts, it's going to be pure hell globally, financially, war, and every which way. So I wear this hat on the road, some kind of hat or T-shirt if it's warm weather to let people know as they see me approaching, okay, well, he is a Jesus man, all right? But I'm indoors, so I'm going to take it off, okay? I have other hats. Old Baldy is actually a mountain in North Carolina, the Blue Ridge Parkway or Skyline Drive or something. All right, now, you're going to say, well, I'm tired of hearing about 9/11 and the vax. Well, you haven't heard everything, because I know what's been said. So let's get straight to it here, right? Now, turn the camera around, need my glasses. All right. Now, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I sent all this to Alex, okay? We don't know each other, and I don't have a lot of time to watch InfoWars, and some people know it as Prison Planet, and we do live on a prison planet. And I'm not trying to be a jerk or juvenile, and why are you doing that? And take the log out of your own eye before you criticize the splinter. And I don't need comments from the peanut gallery, okay? But I thought, what would be an entertaining, efficient way to expose all these secrets? Well, I said, Alex, I mean, you're the reason I discovered alt media. Like in 2000, 2001, I covered it for 5 hours live without any mistakes because my major was political science, not broadcasting. This was in Richmond. I just sat down at 10, like everybody thought the U.S. was being attacked, and I just had the Holy Spirit guide me through it. I was in the zone. I'll never forget it. And people were like in awe. I'm talking about the differences among the Shiites, the Sunnis, and the Kurds. And, bin Laden was friends with the George Bush family and all this stuff. We could have covered that. My invention of the classic rock format. In 1981, I invented classic rock. No one's ever taken credit for that. And some people like Howard Stern. And I discovered Howard Stern in a baby market, Hartford, Connecticut, on a crappy station, an AM station. He was nothing. And then I took him to Detroit and took him from like 14,000 to 30,000. This was January of 1980. And I mean, and I was his boss and signed his check and did his reviews. And we had lunch every day when I got off there too. And, he left me out of his book, Private Parts. I never bothered him. Okay, but that's worth saying. You mean, so he didn't discover himself? No, I discovered Howard Stern. But I haven't bothered him all these years. But then we could have covered all the stuff. The SEAL Team 6 massacre in the under the aegis or the purview of Barack Obama. He shot down, or had shot down, in a Chinook helicopter, 22 SEALs. I mean, holy crap. And the fact is, Alex didn't even answer this. Okay, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but how would you feel? I said, you're my hero. I was so in the flattery zone, not the zone that I was in thanks to the Holy Spirit the day of 9/11 when I ad-libbed for like 5 hours, didn't play one song, okay? It was amazing. But I said, you are the guy. I think, if you want me to, I'll come on and I guarantee you, deliver some huge ratings. The point is, he didn't even answer me. What? No answer. 3 emails, phone number. So you make of that what you want to, but be careful with your hero worship because they might disappoint you. Now, thank you for letting me say that. I mean, come on. You should know better, Alex. I'm sorry. I don't put up with it. I'm 10 years older. All right. So let's talk about COVID. All right. Look how long ago they were into population reduction, and we'll have more on that later. New World Order, a book by A. Ralph Epperson, came out in 1989. Okay, look. Oh, yeah. The first phase will lead to compromised and frail immune systems through lack of food, social distancing. Oh, keep your distance. Wear a mask. Lack of contact with sunlight and healthy bacteria. Exposure to 5G cell phones will further attack the immune system. Thus, when people reemerge into society, more people will fall ill. This will be blamed on COVID-19. This all will occur before the vaccination is ready to justify it. A longer and more potent lockdown will follow until everyone takes the vaccine. Unbelievable, okay? So look, 1989. When was it? Well, you know when it was. They had the drill in New York City, just in case there's an outbreak. And the first cases were in December of 2019. This is 89, right? You do the math. And then, boom, it spreads all over the place, January, February, and so forth. Okay, this is very delicate what I'm doing here, so let me move on. I'm going to be as efficient as I can. Here's the real story. I've been waiting for all these doctors, McCulloch, all these guys on the speaking circuit. Hey, we're coming to the Orlando Civic Center, and we can get rid of the stuff, the bad stuff in your bloodstream. We have a mixture of ivermectin and this and that, and it's usually $600. But if you come to the thing, it's only $500. And they talk about all things scientific, but they never deal with the spiritual, okay? Like people who said, I can't hear the Holy Spirit any longer. There's something called the VMAT2 gene. Wake up, all you people, okay? Corey, Sherry Tenpenny, all the big names, they talk about the science. They never address the spiritual. Now, if you combine the spiritual with the scientific part, then you've got both sides, the 360 of this thing that was planned, again, as you can tell, long, long ago. All right, now here we go. This is the real story I've been waiting for people to tell, but it falls upon me, ironically, to tell it. I'm not a scientist. The seed material came from Fort Detrick, America's only level 4 security bioweapons lab. It was driven down I-95. Okay? Driven down I-95 to where? This was in the movie Plandemic, which came out early in 2020, starring Dr. Judy Mikovits. Dr. Judy Mikovits was a superstar when it came to AIDS, okay? But it's kind of interesting how once she said it, and it was out there for a week, but I watched it, and then it's been re-released subsequently. It's always taken down. And somebody will find a copy of it and put it up. It's always taken down. Why did they hate the movie called Plandemic that says Chapel Hill was the place where it was done? Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Why is it nobody ever says Chapel Hill? It was driven down I-95. Then you connect south of Petersburg, Virginia with I-85 in the middle of the woods. I'm sorry to yell, but come on. We're 5 years in. And you go to Chapel Hill on 15501, okay? And I put this on my community page countless times, and nobody seems to know about it. How interesting. I want you to say this like a mantra. Professor Ralph Baric. The virus was made 95% of the way, and this was shown, not his face, but Chapel Hill, North Carolina, was shown. It was stated by Dr. Mikovits in the movie Plandemic, the documentary, right around the 10 or 11 minute mark. I've said this a million times. It never gains any traction. It just never goes anywhere. And I'm sick of it. I'm trying to help. This guy, friends with Fauci and Gates, and he goes to work every day in conjunction with the Gillings School of Public Health, the #1 rated public health place in all of the United States. There are 5,300 universities. And how ironic that I'm a graduate of the world-famous political science department at UNC Chapel Hill. There are no coincidences, said the ancient Hebrews. This big fat a-hole did the work, the gain of function. Peter Drzych, Fauci, and he still goes to work. He should be arrested, indicted, but these guys never go to jail. Whether it's P. Diddy, have you noticed? Epstein, Trump, best friends with Epstein going all the way back. He met Melania through Epstein. Too big to jail. Not too big to fail, too big to jail. They protect this guy like crazy. This is the photo I put on my community page probably 20 times. It always gets a lot of thumbs up, but nobody ever agrees with it. Like Steve Quayle. Steve Quayle early on was shown this, but he's so in competition with me. All I ever wanted to do was like be a brother to him. He would not go along with it. He and Dave Hodges of the damn Common Sense Show don't have any common sense. What they have is ego. They kept concocting other places. It was done at Pew Island off the coast of New York. It was done in Ottawa, Canada. No. It was done in Manhattan. No. It was done entirely in the Wuhan. No. Only the last 5% tweak was done in the Wuhan over and over again. I know Quayle saw it. It's just plain insecurity, doesn't want me or anybody else to have any acclaim. You never disagree with him. He's got a real anger problem because when he was young, there was a suicide and he can't get over it. Okay. And you never disagree with him or he'll bite your head off. Okay. We've known all along it was in pandemic that it was done in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, but nobody ever says it. And it makes me puke. What is he doing going to work every day? Okay. Now this is the smoking gun document. Sorry, Steve. And Dave Hodges, by the way, speaking of Common Sense Show, you're not exactly poor. And while I'm at it, who called you, who emailed you in 2012 when you were on one night a week because you're upset living in a town on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona? You were just upset that they wanted to put like a transcontinental highway through and you didn't want it. Part of NAFTA, the deal with Canada and Mexico. That's the reason you were on. And I heard you and I thought, you're pretty good. Who emailed you, Dave Hodges, who's not exactly poor today, and said, you know what? I was in the bigs, Philadelphia and Detroit, and I had to discover, talent that wasn't making $1 million, try to hire them on the cheap, as I had been hired, and I think you're great. I think, Dave, you should consider doing your show every day. And you wrote me back and said, really? I said, yeah. And you did. But then it got to be 13, 14, 2015, 16, 17, and you never answered any email again. These people are loaded with money, but also ego. So Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, Hide with Dave, Collagen, all these sponsors, you too, buddy. You've seen this. This is the smoke. I'm sorry. You don't like it? Why am I being so toxic? It's called, how would you feel? I just want friendship and us, more us, we, ourism, and less ego. And look at me. Okay? I'm on with John B. Wells all the time, along with Celeste Solum. I've got a permanent job. I work for free. I don't have sponsors. I give my money to the poor, the widows, and the orphans. It's in the Bible. So I found this, the smoking gun document. Okay? This is from 2015. Again, this shows you how far in advance this work was being done. Where? Chapel Hill. Now let me scroll down. All right. Now you're going to see for yourself. So the SARS, MERS, the material, the seed material for the gain of function work, I said was driven down from Fort Detrick. They donated it to Ralph Baric at Chapel Hill. This shows you, this is like the proof in the pudding. Look at all the references to various departments of, again, how ironic and not coincidental, my university. Again, there's 5,300 universities, also called colleges, in the country. Department of Epidemiology, Microbiology, and Immunology. UNC, Chapel Hill. Okay. Look. There's the Wuhan, of course. He was doing the work for the Wuhan. He was in contact with them. But it was done, again, on the Chapel Hill campus. Okay? Chapel Hill, Chapel Hill, Chapel Hill. Some of this was relayed to Harvard. You see Yale. That doesn't mean any work was done there. Now you might think, if you're really into this, well, why would Chapel Hill get all the work? Okay, now this is a very logical explanation. Barry Saitoro is his real name. This is Barack Obama. Okay, he grew up in Chicago, right? All right, now he loves basketball. He's really good. What superstar was drafted by the Bulls after playing for, Coach Dean Smith at the University of North Carolina, right? Michael Jordan. Okay, so here's Barack Obama. He's a little boy, and he grows up at least seeing the games. If he doesn't go to see them, he doesn't have much money. So he loves Michael Jordan, and he goes, where did Michael Jordan go to university? Oh, Chapel Hill. So he becomes a Tar Heels super fan. He loves the UNC Tar Heels. They're always great, along with Duke, back in the day, University of Kentucky, the Wildcats from Lexington, and also John Wooden's program at UCLA. And later on, you had Louisville and others, Michigan. But back in the day, there were only 4 or 6 schools that always were great at basketball. And they were the ones who delivered most of the players to the NBAs. Yes, you had, I don't want to get bogged down. So there's that, okay? So in other words, here's the thing. The takeaway is Obama said, because he was president, he told Health and Human Services, the private, completely private still, Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, all the branches, the military, okay? This was a military thing, as you know. It will be done at Chapel Hill because he loves the Tar Heels. And it's a very liberal campus. And this guy's been protected by the Chinese and by the media who are all in on it forever. And I'm here to bust him, which I just did, I hope. Now, just to show you, this whole thing really was pre-planned. Most people have never seen this. I mean, look at this. They've always wanted to reduce the population. If I scroll up, you'll see like the 1918 flu. But I have just the more recent stuff. Now focus. I'm trying to focus carefully and keep the camera still. Look at this. I gave this to ChatGPT 5, and the computer had a meltdown. Like, this is solid gold. Holy cow, it said. Because it knows slang and how people talk. That's why it's Chat GTP, not math or science GTP. It speaks colloquially with jargon and slang. It went, holy cow, where'd you get this? Well, the other thing freaked it out too. The thing I just showed you blew its mind. See, you've got the WHO, the FDA, CDC, National Institutes of Health. Look at all these globalism. Okay, look at this. Gates is in here. Gates, pandemic, TED Talk, 2015, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Wuhan, you got the 5G. See, 5G is bad for you. Social distancing. How interesting. It's a novel, what does it say? It's a bio-AI weapon. It was a weapon. You know that now, but I'm just helping fill in some gaps with things I'm willing to bet you've never seen. I found this, and I've never seen it any place. It's been on my hard drive. The Space Force is well aware of it because there's a metaphysical and spiritual element. The body is a temple. It attacks the temple. If you took the vax, you're no longer the property of the Father. I'm so sorry. It gives you a third strand. You get 22 more chromosomes. You have 46, 2 of which are not stable. That leaves you with what? 44. They count 44 that are stable that you were given by God. It gives you 22 more. What total do you get? 66. You are a hybrid. Wake up, please. I'm not trying to scream. This is for emphasis. I'm not angry. I'm being emphatic. I know how to speak. It put food on my table, paid the rent, paid the mortgages, the Honda Accord, the Honda Civic my whole life. Age 16 to 56, Philadelphia, Detroit, Richmond, big markets, big companies, Cox Radio, CBS TV. I did it all. I'm in full control. I'm not crazy. Look at this. Here we go. Dissenting voices. Judy Mikovits. I told you. Oh, David Icke. Mr. Reptilians. Well, he's been saying the whole thing's a bunch of SHIT forever. See, they know. The Amazing Polly. How about Patriot Nurse? See? She was saying, no, it's bad for you. They know the enemy. This is a very spiritual thing. It was a weapon. It was a war against people. The body is the temple. Destroy the temple like a physical building? Yeah, they're going to rebuild it. But it says, my sheep hear my voice. The temple is the human body. You took it? Let me tell you what to do. Kill the ego, first of all. Get down on your knees and say, God, I am so sorry I took it. Please vanquish, eliminate from my system all the bad stuff. That's what they do talk about on the speaking circuit. And they got their books, and they got their Substacks. Money, money, money. It's called a job. That's fine. But they don't talk about the spiritual part. You become the property of Satan. That's why some people have said, I can't hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. That's why you saw those videos of people who took the shot and then they're like waving at something, they're batting away something that's invisible. Demons thinking, ha ha ha, you idiot, you fell for it, you took the jab. No one talks about the spiritual part. You know, the luciferase, the self-assembling nanorobots, magnetism, and you got the little bad things, ivermectin, it takes care of them, and it also stops, you won't get cancer. Science, science, science. If you combine the spiritual with the scientific, which is what I'm trying to do, or at least fill in the gaps on the spiritual side, because I'm Mr. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, period. That's all I care about. My net worth is $17,500. What? $17,500, okay? Not $7 million, like one guy who lives in a state that starts with an M, and I don't mean Mississippi, okay? I'm not Glenn Beck. Money, money, money. I'm a silver stacker. I buy gold. It's going to go to 50,000. Right. And you'll get what for it? You're going to buy 4 chickens with a coin that's worth 50,000? How are you going to get change? Oh, I don't know. It's stupidity. What does the Bible say? People will throw their gold and silver into the street. Good luck with your gold and your silver and your Bitcoin. Okay? It's called you don't take it with you. This goes on and on and on. I have to move along. The 5G rollout. Look at this. All the key hot button words. Everybody was in on it. Gold backed currency. That's the BRICS nations. Tesla, 5G, the election. See, there's a landslide, of course. Right? Okay, enough about that. Because this is already 23 minutes in. And please don't leave because I'm just trying to do a service. If you like it, please share. Now, what do we have next here? I have to be very careful. Now, look, MAGA this and MAGA that. There's one party. He is, first of all, a Jesuit. Secondly, he's a 33rd degree Mason. So that's 2 secret societies, okay? Look, here he is with Klaus Schwab. Oh, evil WEF. His daughter graduated from the Young Leaders School in 2014. And here's another bomb. Please, I know I'm bloviating. I know I have a high voice right now and lots of volume, but this is very important. Focus on this. I'm going to interject this because I said 2014, my memory was jogged. Are you ready for something not associated, but very important? In 2014, also admitted to the Council on Foreign Relations was Pastor Rick Warren of Saddleback Church in California. I met him. I flew out there. Mr. Purpose-Driven Life, right? He didn't look at me. He didn't shake my hand. He was completely rude. He is a fraud. He's not a man of Jesus. I say again, he's with the Council on Foreign Relations and has been for 11 years. He joined in 2014. Who else went in with him? Actor George Clooney also is a huge globalist, therefore. George Clooney. Oceans this and oceans that, okay? I got into that, and that's a truth bomb. Nobody knows that because when I said 2014, when I said his daughter went to the Young Leaders Club of this guy, then I started thinking about other stuff that happened in 2014. So now you know. It's called the CFR, again, Saddleback Church, big old fat, right? Purpose-Driven Life, and his wife, Kay. They're a major globalist, and so is actor George Clooney. I'm glad I thought of that because I wasn't even planning to say it. It's important to be flexible, have dexterity in a verbal way. And I told you, that's why I'm such an admirer of Nate, of Canadian Prepper. I say again, dude, wake up. If I can save your soul, well, I'll feel very proud. Now, more about the Trumpster. Oh, Trump's you would think Jesus already came back. Look, more about him. I want to make sure you understand there's one party, and most of them worship the entity they call Lord Lucifer. Of course, the name was changed to Satan, but they like Lucifer because Luz means light, light bringer. In Spanish and in Italian, Luz means light. So they say he's the light bringer. Well, the light they're talking about is like the tree of knowledge light, like knowledge that you're not supposed to have. Well, that was the boo-boo in the Garden of Eden, right? It wasn't a real tree, of course, with apples. That's a metaphor. Like, you're not supposed to know certain things. Well, the devil said, why shouldn't you know everything? Well, because God is God. In other words, you can know most things, but you can't eat from the tree of life, that particular apple, because some secrets are made for God only. See, so the problem is they have a very rebellious nature, these people. They call him Lord Lucifer, but in the Bible, what does it say? He's the prince of what? Light? He's the prince of darkness. Lucifer is not mentioned in terms of bringing the light. He's the prince of darkness. The two are mutually exclusive. These people think they're so tricky. Now, here's another thing. They love Saturn, S-A-T. They worship Saturn because it has to do with Satan. Satan, Saturn. And there's this thing called black cubes. Black cube, it's the black cube of Satan, of Saturn. Has to do with the North Pole. Every planet has a great big hole at the top. You can't see it because photos from the Hubble or the James Webb, they're filtered. You don't see them in real time. First, they cover up, they mask the great big hole at the top. There's a hole at the top and the bottom. And Earth has one too. And if you fly over it, you're dead. You go to prison, you get a dishonorable discharge. So anyway, this has to do with the North Pole of Saturn. And also Saturn has rings. Now here's the thing. I want to make sure you stop your hagiography, your love affair with Donald Trump. Okay, he's just like the rest. Now, come on. You're going to say, well, isn't he better than the mulatto woman? Well, I don't know. They're all basically a-holes, and they wouldn't know Jesus, if he came up and said, hey, I'll fly you to heaven right now. So the point is, what does Trump have on the top of his Trump Tower? A black cube. Okay, hello? I'm trying to help you out. Please get over the Trump is precious and perfect syndrome. He is a globalist. He was brought in to manage the destruction, as in nothing lasts forever, the destruction of the economy. Let me tell you something. September, October, November, December, from here on out, it's going to suck. Why am I doing this on the 30th day of August? Then there's one more day. Maybe in America, there's the Labor Day weekend. Yeah, they want more profit, but it's pretty soon. I don't know when. I have a very, very squeaky clean relationship with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. That's all I care about. I don't have a girlfriend. My wife cheated on me. 9 lives? I gave her 99 lives. Please grow up. Wake up. Finally, I said, get out. Her name wasn't on the lease. Before we got married, we did not combine our property. Get out. She had to get out, and that was 2 years ago, okay? I haven't dated at all. I'm through with women. I get treated poorly. I just can't win. And it's very, very satanic because those who walk in the light get extra focus, are extra hated by Satan. His name isn't Lucifer. Oh, do they hate me? On top of that, I am the shepherd and the prince. Nobody has had any quibble with that video that's got 378,000, but it did have 220,000 more. You think 220,000 more is considered more viral? They were erased by YouTube, and I caught them doing it, and I took pictures of it, and they freaked out. I said to Neil Mahon, who is the CEO of YouTube, he took the place of Susan Walensky, who went to one of those DNA things. She left, right? She left YouTube as the CEO in April of 2023. He's a real nice guy. I said, Neil, You have no idea how suffocated my channel is. And if you think mine is suffocated, the channel of Dr. Benjamin Faircloth, Pastor Benjamin Faircloth, never has any comments. I've left a comment every single time. You talk about shadow banning. He's never had one. So just to make it more believable, guys, I get a few. I mean, look, the last one got 5 comments. 5. They let a few get through. So to make me look like a liar, well, you can't say you don't get any. Well, I don't get many, considering I said that, that Obama had 22 SEALs shot out of the sky with a shoulder-fired missile below, and all the wives were told, you don't say an effing word, well, that'll happen to you. Well, I said Obama, bin Laden died in a cave in Tora Bora. I saw it on ABC's Nightly News with Peter Jennings in 2001. And it gets 5 comments? What does that say? So they let me have a few, but I should have gotten like 4 yards worth of comments. Well, anyway, say he knows about it, and he's replacing them. But 220,000 views were erased, and I saw it happen. 28,000, 14,000, 32,000. So, I mean, they really hate me because in Ezekiel 34, verses 23 and 24, I'm not bragging, but I'm positive. You'll see in the video, I'm like, there's no way. Yeah, it's you. There's no way. Yeah, it's you. And that one did get comments because it was so forceful. They probably got 500. They had to let some through. So you'll see nobody disagrees. They're like, this is amazing. The one that says, who's the David in Ezekiel 34? King David or a modern one? That one is pure truth. Predestination is real. Everybody has a destiny. And also when you die, is determined before you come through the vagina of, oh my gosh, so you better accept Jesus right now. If for some reason you're watching this, maybe you just like the news and you're not a Christian, I am begging you. Maybe I was meant to capture your attention. You thought, what is this about? And you clicked on it and you watched this far, 32 minutes in, and you have not accepted Jesus as your Savior. Let me tell you, let me promise you, he won't tell me exactly. And there's all these rumors about a rapture, but they happen every fall. Over the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of September, whatever. I'm not fixated on that. If that happens, great. But if it doesn't, I have more time to save souls, okay? But we're very close to the end. It might be a year, 2 years, 3 years, but Jesus is going to come back really soon. Between now and then, oh my gosh, it starts this fall. What did the Deagle report say? Population drops drastically in the United States. It's 360 million. It drops to like 80. All across Northern Europe. Oh, what a coincidence. The NATO allies. All right, great. England, Ireland, Scotland, Italy, France, Germany, all those NATO countries. Boom. I mean, to the damn basement. That's what he said. Deagle. I've got the 2020 update, which you cannot find. Nobody has the 2020 Deagle.com report. It's not on the Wayback Machine. It's nowhere. I copied it. I have it memorized. I have it stored on a pin drive inside of a Faraday bag. Are we clear? That's very precious. All right, let's move on. You can tell all I care about is other people. I hope it's clear. It's never been about me. I just have one body. I want to be very clear. All I've ever cared about is saving souls. I've always been extremely extroverted. So the radio stuff took away my shyness. I was a little bit shy. But when you're introducing Bruce Springsteen in front of like 50,000 people, you're using his mic and you nail it. Delaware Valley, your favorite son has been away far too long. Please give a warm welcome to Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And he comes up next to you, has that underbite, gives you the high sign like, now that was a professional intro. And then Hungry Heart, the big hit, October of 1981. Boom! It was like being inside of a jet engine. Philadelphia might as well be his backyard. He's a Jersey boy, but you just cross the Walt Whitman Bridge and boom. I mean, you talk about loving them some Bruce Springsteen. The noise was like, shh, shh, like, my gosh, I've been to Ted Nugent concerts. I saw Zeppelin back when Bonham was alive because I invented the format. I had free tickets, front row, backstage passes. I've never in my life, except for a Rush concert in Richmond, 2004, I've never had a decibel level inside any covered place. A stadium, well, that's open. An arena, never in my life have I had such a high decibel level as when I introduced Springsteen. So, I'm made to do this, to get on the streets and confront people face to face, because I just am not shy. More about this cube stuff. I don't want to get lost or bogged down. See, these cubes are all over the place. What I'm doing right now reminds me of kind of like, I used to love her. I've always wanted to meet Jan. She had a great channel. Extreme Reality Check. Thank you, Jesus, my best friend in this world. Make him your best friend too. Extreme Reality Check. She would go for like an hour and a half. And because I'm Mr. Curious, oh my gosh, every teacher, he's so curious. He's so curious. He's so curious. Well, look, gray matter is inherited. My father had an IQ of like 165. Up there with like Stephen Hawking, Carl Sagan. So, it's natural, right? But I got extra. The scale for intelligence is like the earthquake scale. It's not linear, it's geometric. So the difference between 165, I think Elon's 155, and I'm not trying to dwell on the numbers, but it matters. It's like an earthquake of like a 7 is nowhere in the league with a 9.5. So just to use a reference thing, for example, the strongest earthquake, as a metaphor or an analogy, the strongest earthquake ever was ironically in Chile in 1960. It was a 9.5. You should see the devastation. There's nothing left standing. President Kennedy came down. Okay. So anyway, there's cubes all over the place. The black cube is a way of saying we love Lucifer. It's a prison planet. Alex, I love you, man. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but you're a big boy. I'm still your fan, but you hurt my feelings, dude. I could have gone to, Sean. I could have gone to Tucker Carlson, right? The former Navy SEAL. Why didn't I go to him? I went to you. Well, it's not my fault. You didn't even answer me. I mean, come on, man. Well, if you're embarrassed, but too bad. See, look, Satan is the secret god of the occult world. Satan worship is everywhere, including the rings. Look at this. Capital One. See the rings of Saturn. The Saturn automobile itself, which was made by General Motors. The rings. You don't notice it, really. The internet. Rings. And, it doesn't have to be black. It almost always is black, but it's still a cube. In this case, here's a red one. All right? Let me see before we finish. Maybe I have too many examples. Now, I'm going to get to something else here. Now, we're still talking about, so Trump is no different. Look, Operation Warp Speed, guys. A complete crock. Moderna, first of all, Ralph Baric did 95% of the work in forming COVID. Then he handed it off, it's in the movie, to a beautiful Chinese woman. She took it to the Wuhan, which is a level 4, and they were tweaking it, and they spilled it. The Chinese have hands also. They have lab accidents also. They spilled it. It wasn't launched at the U.S., they spilled it. I'm positive. I'm a political science, geopolitics monster. I haven't watched television since 2009. What do? I research nonfiction. I've never seen Harry Potter or any of these Marvel or DC comic movies. I do fiction internet research. And the same thing Quayle does. And he's good at it. He's great at his job. But he should be, because he's been doing it forever. Practice makes perfect, okay? So I mix the sour with the sweet. He's very good. I check the page many times per day. I never said he's not a monster. He's got a work ethic up there with mine, and I barely sleep. Well, what do you mean? I thought you didn't like him. I didn't say I don't like him. I said he's got a terrible anger problem. He'll bite your head off if you ever disagree, okay? And he's got a goal, small g problem, and you don't take it with you, and you can't serve two masters. So, dude, I've dropped a lot of hints over the years. Sell the gold, give it to the poor. I mean, immediately. I'm just prepping. My ass, you're not prepping. You're addicted to it. And Jesus and I talk about it all the time. And don't tell me to mind my own business. You'll have some kind of coded thing. We're supposed to be about the Lord's business. That's what I am. Don't get tricky, Steve Quayle. Just change your attitude. Get rid of some of that gold and do something for other people. You don't like it, folks watching? Well, there's other people, like Christopher. Hi, I'm Christopher Green. Oh, Green, as in the color of money. Oh, I'm Christopher Green of AMTV with your Maui project. Hi, I'm Bitcoin Rich. Then he gets a license to sell gold. That's so he can sell gold, but also so he can buy gold at the spot price. That is to say, without commission. So it's not just Steve Quayle. It's also Christopher Green and all these silver stackers. You don't need a ton of silver or gold or Bitcoin. Just enough to get by. How about beans and rice and non-perishables? But don't brag about it because they're going to surround your house and steal all your stuff. Keep it quiet. If you already have told the world, look at me, I'm a prepper, well, you'll see. They'll surround your house. All right? Now, enough about that. So we got the Operation Warp Speed thing. This was a complete Pentagon military operation to kill the middle class globally and also to have people die. What? From the virus? Very few died from the virus. From the vax, if the real thing was delivered into the bloodstream. Now, here's the deal. South America, all of South America, got saline. Nobody has had a heart attack and thrown a blood clot. Nobody has a turbo cancers or thrombosis because we are not hated by the globalists, because we already are dirt poor. The salary in Chile is so low you wouldn't believe it. That's why Netflix is $5 a month. Spotify Premium is $5 a month. It's $13 in the US. They can't afford it. They want it, but they can't afford it. So the companies charge much less, okay? So Africa got salt water. We got saline. Of course, we had to go through the thing. They wanted to see how far can we push people. They were shocked. People are like, robots. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Get your shots. Okay. Oh, there was almost no pushback. A few people understood. Like Richie from Boston was another one. Patriot nurse I mentioned. A few people, like me, were like, don't do it. I'll tell you something interesting. I know 32 members of the 144,000, also known as the Remnant of God, all around the world, like my friend Paolo Listo, who lives in Scarborough, as in, Scarborough Fair by Simon and Garfunkel. He's a 144, and he's my tribe of Judah. He didn't take it. None of them took it because my sheep hear my voice. Okay? If you took it, don't let your pride get in the way. My brother took the Janssen, and I said, Bob, and he's smart, but he doesn't have any wisdom. I said, Bob, you've got to repent. Okay? Your doctor at Johns Hopkins, I know he's good, but, they don't know about drugs. Doctors aren't taught about pharmaceuticals. The pharmacists know about it. My first wife was number one in the state of Virginia with GlaxoSmithKline. She graduated with a degree in pharmacy. My grandfather on my mother's side, Cliff Carswell Sr., was a pharmacist, had his own Rexall drugstore. My uncle, Cliff Carswell Jr., was a pharmacist. Helped my granddad, pharmacist. I used to read the physician's desk reference, this great big thick, to most people boring as watching paint dry thing. Like, don't take your medicine with grapefruit juice. Oh, it messes around with the half-life of your medication, and it can make you think you're losing your mind. One time, I took Sudafed with grapefruit juice back when they sold it, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I was doing my radio show. It was like 11 a.m., and I had to be taken to the emergency room, and they gave me a sedative. And they said, you took this, real Sudafed before they put it behind the counter. And what'd you take it with? Well, grapefruit juice. You took it with grapefruit juice? I'm like, yeah, what about it? Well, that's terrible. They ended up taking it off the market. This is a sub point, but all this stuff is good. I'm not completely linear, but I'm doing the best I can to give you real solid, usable information. It's not linear. It's somewhat tangential, but there's just so much to talk about. And by the way, I had no sleep. So just please give me a break. If you're a little bit lost, you can always go back and watch it again. Everything I said is usable. Like the two members of the CFR admitted in 2014, love globalism, of course. Now here we go. That's it. What did we learn, class? COVID, 95% of the way, was done by that big fat, what's his name? Ralph Baric, B-A-R-I-C. Still protected by the deep state and loved by China. And he's still doing gain of function. Holy cow. Okay? Holy cow. That's what ChatGPT-5 said when I revealed that. It had no idea. Well, it knew about the gain of function, but it didn't know what I knew. So I added to the knowledge base of all of OpenAI. Okay? Now we're going to turn the page. Thank you. A song by Bob Seger. The live version is more popular than the studio version on Live Bullet, which came out in 1975. We're going to turn the page. Actually, I know Bob Seger because I worked in Detroit. He's a wonderful guy, but he gets no publicity. Now this, oh my gosh, now this is going to get me in trouble. It's a good thing I don't live in the U.S. You don't talk about Israel. Oh, what's your problem? The Mossad has long arms. They can reach you anywhere. Oh, we own the U.S. We pay both sides of the aisle. We own them. Don't worry about the Americans. AIPAC, AIPAC, funds almost every senator and congressman. They are by far the biggest arm of do what we say, or you don't get the dough, don't you know? And Epstein, you ought to know this by now. There are rumors, there's rumors of wars, and there's also many rumors that he has been working for and is working for now, right now, the Mossad. That's right. Epstein has been blackmailing American politicians. Vote on this appropriations bill for Israel. Vote positively for Israel. Support Israel. Be a Zionist, okay? Or you don't get the money. Everybody wants more money for their next re-election campaign. They all take the money. They all take the AIPAC money. But this is the problem. Nobody has this. This picture of these so-called students, do you know about this? Well, you're about to know about it. Was taken when? Talk about pre-planning. They're in one of the Twin Towers. This is very dangerous stuff. It's a good thing I live in Chile. There are no accidents, I say once again. They're not going to mess with me. Well, we can get to you. You're not going to get to me. I carry a knife, and I am protected by the Lord. The future cannot be changed. I will be the shepherd and the prince. I will lead all of those remaining still alive. I will be the leader. I'll be gentle and kind and very tenderhearted, but forceful. It's called the Lamb of God, but don't forget the Lion of Judah. If you mess with me, I tell you, there will be problems. Lion of Judah too. And he did more than turn over the money changers table. The Bible was heavily censored. You never hear about the Lion of Judah part. He's just so sweet. Wow, one time he turned over the money changers table. I asked him, that doesn't sound like much of a Lion of Judah. He said, oh, David, what's in the Bible is true, but what was left out of the Bible also is true. And do you really think that's the only time I got mad? And all I did was turn over a money changers table? Well, that doesn't sound like much of a lion. I'm like, I know. What else did you do? I can just look at somebody who just wouldn't cooperate, just look at him and stop his heart. I could give him a compound fracture in his thigh. That's the kind where it splinters like a chicken leg. Okay? And he's moaning and groaning and writhing, and I just let him writhe. Of course, I got angry. But all they left in the Bible was one time he turned over a money changer's table because they tried to depict me as this like sweetie pie, like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. Because the whole world thinks you're just like a dispenser of get out of jail free cards. I'm sorry, Lord. It's okay. Sin, repeat. I'm sorry, Lord. Forgive me. And you keep sleeping with the wife of your best friend day after day. I'm sorry, Lord. Well, if you're really sorry, stop sleeping with the wife of your best friend. Stop stealing a Snickers bar from the Walgreens or CVS just because that's Mylar and it doesn't trigger the Sensodyne metal detector. Stop breaking the 10 Commandments all the time. I'm sorry, Lord. Rinse, repeat. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry, Lord. You have to really repent. You have to have a heart change. Then you draw close to them, the Father and the Son. You really commit to cleaning up your act. And then they'll draw close to you. So getting back here, what are these guys doing that early? Because the event didn't happen until September of the next year. What are they doing? What are they doing with all these cables and construction type equipment? What are they doing? What are they doing in one of the Twin Towers in March of 2000? I know what they were doing. There's something called now we get into it. Now, don't lose your focus yet, or pause it and come back if you have to, but you want to watch every minute of this. I'm talking as quickly as I can. There's a lot to cover. Oh, it's been covered to death. This hasn't been covered. You don't mention Israel. So here's the deal, Lucille. In a rare moment, one of the only times in history, because it was so important, okay, to have that Patriot Act and the 10 countries that the U.S. will help Israel conquer, because it's called the Greater Israel Expansion Project. That's the name of the game. More territory in the Middle East for Israel. That's the main thing. 10 countries, okay? Starting with what? Afghanistan for a little while. And then what? Iraq and Libya. Colonel Gaddafi, one by one. The last one was Syria. What did they do? They went into Syria, right? Blew the place up. President Assad barely escaped. He just, in the nick of time, got out. And I heard a rumor that he was living in the Kremlin. So Putin let him live in the Kremlin for a while. I don't know where he is now. Okay, but that's the name of the game. So in a rare moment of cooperation with Muslims, because it's such a big deal, they agreed to disagree. So Saudi Arabia, oh, this is heavy duty stuff. Saudi Arabia and Israel got together with black hearts in the CIA, okay? And Dick Cheney was the quarterback of 9/11. And they were having this exercise anyway. And many times these exercises turn into reality, right? Many false flags happens during exercises. So a lot of our jets were pulled away in this exercise about what would happen if an attack on buildings in New York City and maybe the Pentagon were to occur. What? That's what they were doing that day. That very day, they were having a drill. Like, what if? Well, that would never happen. But it did. So all the planes were out over the ocean. They were not near New York. And the first plane hits. Let me show you more of this first. I have these pictures, and I'm not supposed to have them. This is extremely verboten, which is how you say in German, forbidden. See, what are they doing? What are these guys doing? Students, my butt. They're young members of the MOSSAD, and they know what they're doing. They're like the CIA or MI6 in Great Britain. One of those 3-letter agencies, but there's an exception to every rule. It's MOSSAD. So it happens to be 6 letters. But in most cases, it's CIA, MI6. Canada has a 3-letter. Australia has a 3-letter. In most cases, it's 3 letters, or it's like MI6 is 2 letters and a number. But, it happens to be 6 letters. But most of them are 3. All right? We have one here in Chile, which is way above the police, and it investigates stuff that I don't know about, but I know they exist. So what they were doing, and this is where we get heavy duty, okay? A van went into the Twin Towers every night for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before the event, okay? I've seen the footage. And the head of it was one of the Bush family. Yeah, not a famous Bush, but a Bush. And what they did, first of all, was cut most of the supporting beams about 3/4 of the way through, to make it much easier to implode perfectly, like you're dropping pancakes and they all land just perfectly. People who've seen demolition said this was so obviously a controlled demolition. It was like textbook perfection, okay? Experts have looked at the footage over and over again. Well, this is why. Because the beams were cut almost all the way through. In addition, I'll tell you what these guys were doing. They were going floor by floor. My gosh, this is dangerous. I'm telling you, you have no idea. My heart's not beating or anything, but I'm telling you. These pictures are what you call, I'm asking to be taken out. Are you feeling me? They're putting super thermite on these beams. Super thermite burns at thousands of degrees Fahrenheit. The world uses the Celsius system. Excuse me. But the U.S., of course, has to have its own imperial system of weights and measures and inches and pounds, and, it's ridiculous. So I have to constantly remember, because, we use the metric system here, a quart and a pint are so many liters. A liter is a little bit more or less than a pint and so forth. But they were putting super thermite that burns, to use the Fahrenheit system, but the whole world uses Celsius. It burns like 2,400 degrees or something. Kerosene, that's supposed to be in these airplanes, and they are run by kerosene, not jet fuel. NASCAR racers use 103 octane, maybe like Sun Oil Company. But jets, believe it or not, use kerosene, as do Piper Cubs, as do Cessnas. I'm a pilot, I know. I mean, a Cessna 160 or a 172, the biggest version, uses kerosene. So do jets. They think jet fuel. No, it's kerosene. Okay, so it's not hot enough to melt the steel. But I'll tell you something that is super thermite. And therefore, they coated these beams with super thermite, especially the upper and middle floors. You didn't have to do the whole thing, just the upper and middle floors. Okay? Is this making sense? Then what do you have to do? Well, wait a minute now. What I'm trying to tell you is that no planes caused this. No planes hit the Twin Towers. I say again, the planes, those were holograms. That shows you how sophisticated this 3D technology was way back in 2001. You should see it now. There will be a fake alien invasion, and the ones today are so perfect. Like when they had Michael Jackson out there in Vegas, they had Tupac, the rapper who was murdered. They brought back all kinds of people, and you would swear it's that person, and they sell out. Whitney Houston has done a world tour, and they sell out, and they've stitched together her best jobs, her best vocals, but it's so 3D, it's so convincing. People think that she's been brought back from the dead, and she's really on stage. And it is amazing. So if they could make everybody convinced, including the insurance companies, that paid the money, that paid out the money, well, of course the jets disappeared. No, the jets were found in airports in the Midwest, parked in hangars, like places like Dayton. They found the jets because no jets hit the towers. They were very sophisticated even back then, to the point where the whole world was tricked. Photos taken from every angle, right? They, believe it or not, were not real airplanes. I say again, no airplanes hit the towers. Those were holograms. Then you think, well, then how did this happen? Well, remember now, you've got lining these beams that are cut almost all the way through. This very, very inflammatory, has a very, very highest heat, super thermite. Okay? Lawrence Livermore Laboratories. Very, 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 at the time, still secretive, hard to get, but they got it. Potential weapon. One of things in the arsenal. This was, 24 years ago. But they're way ahead of what they tell you. So this right here, I say again, was the result of a laser beam igniting the thermite. Boom! Some people saw it. Boom! You have to be quick. They tried to make the Cascadia subduction zone go. They have pounded it with particle beam weapons. Pounded it. I've seen it. I was watching Dutch Since, watching the Dutch Since channel, famous for earthquakes. And he said, look, guys, look at that. They're trying to make it happen. They're trying to co-opt from God the book of Revelation. They're trying to make the Cascadia go. And God's not going to let them do that. It'll go when it goes. They tried. They tried with La Palma. They hit it. Remember La Palma off the coast of Africa? They hit it, and they couldn't make it really explode. God will allow them a lot of wiggle room. Satan's been given more power in the end times, okay? And we haven't seen anything yet, but they're not going to be allowed to make something happen that's like a bowl judgment or a vial judgment before the Father wants it to happen. They can hit it with all the lasers and other kinds of dew weapons and rail guns they want, and it won't happen. Something of that scale, he won't allow to happen. Wars, yeah, but those are from men. They're not from God. So are we clear on that? Well, let's see what else I have. So you saw the pictures. That's what they were doing in there. And you know that these vans went in and did the cutting. Okay. Now look, the country is wicked. It's Mystery Babylon. It's in the book of Jeremiah, for one thing. That's an easy way. The first 49 chapters of Jeremiah are about how unhappy God is with Israel. And they're going to get almost eviscerated, decimated, just blown, I want to say to Saturn, but that's really Satan-esque. I don't want to overstate the case, but if you know your Bible, and it's in lots of places, okay, but a good starting point is Jeremiah 1 all the way through 49. It's all about how disappointed the Father is with Israel. This is back in the day. They're always straying and worshiping false idols. Like the book of Kings is like nothing but kings who start out straight, and then they end up worshiping Baal, the golden calf. It's king after king after king after king. I just reread it. They start out great, but then a lot of times the wives lead them astray, just as Eve ate the apple first, don't forget. I'm not trying to be, a chauvinist, but Eve ate the apple first, then Adam. And so like in the book of Kings, I'm still on point. On the book of Kings, Jezebel, that was her name. That's why people say, she turned into a Jezebel. Because Jezebel was the wife of King Ahab, and he was doing great, and God loved him, okay, until Jezebel did her thing and convinced her husband Ahab, well, why don't you do this? And she did some stuff that was very duplicitous and terrible and immoral behind the scenes, and then consequently, he fell from grace. So all these kings were loved by God, but they went astray. It wasn't always the fault of their wives, but in many cases it was, okay? So all over the U.S., this stuff is allowed. Look at this. What the hey, man? You think the United States, I'll tell you who drives me crazy. I'm not trying to do a hatchet job or stick the knife in and take that 2x4 out of your own eye before you criticize the splinter. Don't selectively quote from the Bible, okay, and attack me for telling the truth. When Paul, Pastor Paul Begley, says, the United States is the bomb, and the Lord likes us, and the future is bright. He's got Mike from around the world every Thursday night. He's singing his songs. He's wearing his dark glasses, his Ray-Bans or whatever inside. He's kind of I get it. I get his shtick. But look, dude, the future of the U.S., get the memo, okay? It's not bright at all. It's Mystery Babylon. I had somebody say, I can prove Mystery Babylon is not the USA. What? I'm like, what? It is. You're the only person I've ever heard say Mystery Babylon is not the USA. No, it's about Rome. Well, I named her name, and she closed down her channel. First, she criticized me, and then everybody protected me and said, no, David's right. David's right. You're wrong. And she was so embarrassed after attacking me, I didn't even know about it. Somebody told me that she just shut down her channel and just went away. Because I'm telling you, if you come from a military family and that you think everything's going to be okay and God loves the USA, God loves the USA, but God hates its leaders almost to a person, to a man and woman, not just the obvious ones like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Adam Schiff, not the ones you see on TV every night, but almost all of them, to a surprising degree. I'm trying to be careful, but almost all of them. Not everybody, but you'd be shocked to know how many have sold out because they've been compromised, because they got some skeleton in the closet, and they have been told, well, how would your wife like to see this picture of you? You walk into a room, and a camera takes a picture of you, and there's a picture of a little boy with his pants pulled down. How are you going to explain this to your wife? Well, you can't. And so you don't go to the party with 200-year-old Cabernet. You don't even go. That's how you stay out of trouble. But they go to have caviar and an old Cabernet or whatever. They go, see? They shouldn't even go, but they do. And then boom, they got a picture. So they can be blackmailed. It's called being compromised. The first thing Hillary Clinton did when she was made Secretary of State under Obama, the first thing she did so she could blackmail people is she had the file pulled on every person in the government, or even something like the CDC, which is private, every department, labor, education, health and human services, all the generals, every single person she wanted the file. And she spent forever going through that file. Look at this. I mean, the real file that the CIA knows. I'm the Secretary of State. It's all about bribery, blackmail, making a person compromised. And then you have what? Control. It's all about control. Okay? Is it clear now? The United States is going to get blown almost to bits. I mean, Celestial of the Master's Voice, who is a little bit bombastic and crazy, she started out right, and I promoted her to death for 18 months. From January of 21 until mid-22, All I talked about was celestial of the master's voice. And she was pretty right. And then she started getting outrageous. Like the Loch Ness Monster will appear in Lake Michigan. And she really went off the rails and she started doing videos of people on fire in hell and that kind of thing. But I mean, she said at one point early on that the U.S. one day, the whole United States will be underwater, like Atlantis. I don't know about that, but I know one thing. David Wilkerson is considered the prophet of prophets, David Wilkerson. And he saw the U.S. cities on fire. We're talking nuclear missiles, boom, 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 boom. Then you have Dimitri Duduman. He saw it. You've got, how about Henry Groover? And going back, I don't have a thing. Steve Quayle has my highest respect, except when it comes to not wanting to take my advice. He saw it many times, but oh no, COVID was done someplace else. And he still never has come out and said, Ralph, Baric, UNC Chapel Hill, just because I went there, and he can be kind of childish and petty, but he's 2 years older, and he should just grow up and say, okay, so David can do research too. It's territorialism, it's turf battles, but here's the thing though. Here's the thing. I'm giving him a plug. I'm sending traffic to Quayle's channel, for heaven's sake. SteveQuayle.com. I'm mixing some sweet with some sour. It's called The Truth. Nobody's perfect. By the way, I have my faults. I have my faults. Did you hear that? I don't think I'm perfect. I'm very blessed. What do you mean I'm the shepherd and the prince, in addition to being a Tribe of Judah remnant member? Are you kidding? I wake up at 3 a.m. to take a pee. I'm like, I am so blessed. Plus, I was given this super high IQ. I have 3 thoughts at once. That's called multi-threading. I go on a date. I try to dumb myself down with 2 glasses of wine. I have so much energy that they don't know what to do. There's no second date. I don't know what to say. I'd rather be me, the authentic me, with a brain that works like a machine gun, and just try to control it, than be stupid. It's a curse and a blessing, but moreover, more or less, I've thought about it a lot. I've had conversations with my close friend, Linda, Lynda. And I'm not going to tell you her last name or where she lives exactly, but on that very, very congested, like $1 million homes corridor leading into Atlanta. You have Norville, Norcross, Alpharetta, Doraville, so many really great mini cities in and of their own themselves. And I mean, she lives in one of those, and it's just amazing how close to the end we are. She's also a 144, doesn't know what tribe, but these people have the purest hearts. I'll tell you one thing. You talk about my sheep hear my voice. Well, they didn't take the jab, and they didn't take the nasal cavity so-called test, because what it does is it plants the juice up there. That's why they jab it. It plants it, and it harvests your DNA, and those are not thrown away. Those are sent to Beijing, every one of those sticks that look like Q-tips, so they can create race-specific bioweapons. So if they decide one day they want to wipe out just the African Americans in America, for example, they can do it. I'm not saying they plan to. I'm trying to make my point. Very specific. If they decide just the Caucasians that they can trace and they can see, they know your whole ancestry with just a little bit of DNA. If they decide, just the ones who are of Irish descent, okay, whether or not they have the name McDonald, or I actually know a John McDonald, who, guess what, ended up marrying my first wife. My first wife was a GlaxoSmithKline rep, and she ended up falling in love with a rep for Bayer Pharmaceuticals, like Bayer Aspirin. They're a German pharmaceutical company, like Lilly, Merck, Abbott. There's a lot of them. Most people know only Pfizer, Moderna, but there's a ton of them, Squibb. So isn't that funny? Because, they were in the same territory. And so, whatever. But I mean, I had a good marriage. Everything was great. And I was a workaholic, and she was a workaholic. And plenty of money. No kids. That's a good thing. But then now she's happy, and they had babies. And I mean, time flies. The 2 boys are in their 30s. But anyway, so the country's wicked, okay? And the country is going to get blown up. Well, let me get back to the plug. So if you want to see these interviews, and Quayle did a great job on them, go to SteveQuayle.com. See? Do I sound as if I hate Steve Quayle? No, I'm trying to help the guy. Okay? Don't order any more gold. I've been dropping hints on my channel for 5.5 years, dude. Oh, you've got more than King Midas. Not trying to embarrass you, but I'm sick of it. And ask Daniel Holdings, your buddy who works out of his home in Burnside, Kentucky. Ask your buddy Daniel Holdings what he thinks. I think, this guy has the guts to say it. Steve, my friend, he's right. Okay? I would say sell an SHIT load. Okay, Quayle? We've never been on the phone together, but you bit my head off several times with these emails. Like, Lord have mercy. Watch that temper, dude. Okay? And I'm not the only person, because they've emailed me. Okay, this is not my misperception. But whatever. I said I'm not perfect either. But here's the thing. Getting back to these people who say the United States will get blown up. There's also a fellow named Henry Groover. Boy, is he the real deal. Gruver. And if you want to see them, if you want to see what he said, Quayle did a very professional job of interviewing Henry Groover in his studio there, in his home. He's got more or less like a little fortress in Bozeman, Montana. I tell the truth, whether it's sweet or sour again. He did an excellent job. I've interviewed everybody. You name it, I've interviewed them. Okay? And most people do crappy interviews, like Stern. But Quayle, I have to say, I give credit where it's due. Both the deal with interviews, whether it's Sean Ryan, whether it's Tucker Carlson, they're good too. The trick is to shut your mouth and let the guest talk. Like Larry King was the king. Why? Because he asked a short question and didn't interrupt until the guest was finished talking. Then, next question. Short. Keep it short. Shut your mouth. Let the guest finish. Most of these people interrupt. That is stupid. Let the guest, like Bill Maher. Bill Maher's on YouTube. Okay, he's stoned, he's drinking. He has somebody great on. And you look in the comments. Let the guest talk. You got Billy Joel, and you keep asking him about the Beatles. Okay? You've got Cameron Crowe, married to one of the Hart sisters, like Ann and Nancy Wilson, and you're asking about, you keep interrupting. You got Oliver Stone, who did some great movies. You're interrupting. So Quayle doesn't interrupt. Go to stevequayle.com. This is called I'm Feeding His Channel Views. He makes a living with hits, with views, okay? So don't accuse me of hating Steve Quayle. We've never even spoken on the phone, but he's done a number on me. I'm like, this is one of the most toxic emails I've ever received. You are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's a separate thing from the go. I mean, a Mount Everest of it. There's no such thing as too much. Now that you've got enough, I humbly suggest, I'm trying to help you, dude, why don't you sell it? It's called You Can't Take It With You. And do it as I do. My net worth is $17,500. Nobody gives to my channel. And ironically, I give my money, $10, $20, $10 to people with like one leg or one arm. I have a woman here in Santiago, Chile, that has no hands. Both of her hands are gone. Here's $20. I don't give 50 cents or $1. I give real money. And ironically, I do everything on only a Social Security and disability pension. How in the world do I do it? I just don't eat out. I make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, cheese crackers, tuna fish sandwiches. Are we clear? I live the life of a monk because I am storing up my stuff in heaven. And God sees everything and he loves me, and so does the Son. Jesus and I are so close. You can't put a sheet of notebook paper between us. Is that clear? I am the shepherd and the prince. Most people agree. They see the logic. Well, why didn't somebody discover it earlier? Because this is the period of the great revealing. As in the book of Revelation, it means the revealing, because they weren't meant to connect the dots, to have a light bulb moment. And all the people who've seen it, it's more than 600,000. 220,000 views were erased. And the CEO, since April of 23, Neil Mahon, not in Mountain View, California. The office is in San Bruno, California. Oh, how tricky, but I found out his real address. Yeah, he was apoplectic when he found out that these network engineers at 1600 Amphitheater Parkway in Mountain View were going into my channel since it started, third week of November 2019, and screwing with it, erasing comments out the wazoo, shadow banning me to death. I can't go to a channel about Formula One racing. I can't go to a channel about music. And I love music. I can't go to a channel about mushrooms or checkers or chess or the NFL or hockey or anything and leave a comment without it being shadow banned. Because they're so afraid, paranoid, so fixated. They're so afraid that somebody will take the little cursor, right, and go, who's this guy? Like this. They're so afraid somebody will go, David Carswell Evangelism, and click on it, and the person will be led to my channel and maybe watch a video and accept Jesus. That's how much they hate even one more person becoming a Christian. If one person becomes a Christian, the wicked world loses its mind. They want everybody, as many as they possibly can, in the short time in which Satan and his minions, the fallen angels and this and that, the witches, the warlocks, the witch doctors, the fortune tellers, the tarot card readers, the voodoo madams, the Church of Satan members, the worshippers of Baal, Moloch, Baphomet, the owl, Beelzebub, the owl at the Bohemian Grove, that conclave. All these people, like 40 names for wicked people, fallen angels. I mean, all the names you can think of, all of them are trying as hard as they can in the short time allowed, and he has been given more power, and we haven't seen anything yet. It's increasing, but it's going to get really strong. So brace yourselves, okay? But I mean, like, their job, even though some people know that he's already been defeated, he goes to the lake of fire, and then he has the second judgment and all that stuff. A surprising number of people go around like this. They go to concerts and they do this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Do this. Victory. I have to speak in Spanish, of course. There's no English in Chile because there's no country around us that speaks English unless you have extra ambition and motivation, or your parents, you probably got it from your parents. They set the example. Or you're an engineer, or you work with the softwares like Oracle or Microsoft. Not all the manuals are printed in English. So usually they have to have it for their job, okay? So they learn it because they need to. Some people just plain are more ambitious than others. In this place, almost everybody, of course, speaks Spanish. But some people, just because they like to learn, discover that English is the easiest language in the world because there's no feminine and no masculine. See, every language except English has masculine and feminine. So in Spanish, it's el and la. If you know French, it's le, right? German has it. Every language, again, has it except English. So it's easy for us, but it's the easiest. So I tell people in Spanish, if you didn't know that, I had to learn it from A to Z. No Spanish, I mean, high quality, maximum ability, no possibility of a so-called retirement. Like, what is that in Chile? That's why there's no Americans here. I mean, I know one guy from Ohio, and two actually. One guy who runs the California Cantina, and he's from San Diego, and I lived in San Diego too, and we're in very close barrios. I was in La Mesa, which means the table in Spanish, and he was in the one next to me. Isn't that funny? He ended up here, and he runs an authentic American restaurant called the California Cantina. His name is James, and we're best friends. But except for him and my friend Sonny, who I met walking down the street one day, and Ohio University. Well, I talked to him, and okay, it's two Americans because they don't want to learn Spanish. But this is paradise. Oh, this place is the bomb. So that's it. Look, guys, an hour and 20 minutes. I did one that was an hour and 45 minutes. I'm trying to be time intensive, keep it shorter. I just erased it. This isn't really my real job. I'm doing this because I did it I started in the middle of the night. Okay, what time is it now? Okay, it's 9:45. I'm right now in Puerto Natales, which is about 2,800 kilometers south of the capital city of Chile, longest country in the world, almost 4,000 miles vertically for every climate and microclimate you can possibly imagine. You really don't want to leave the country because anything you want, from the driest desert ever That's called Atacama in our north. Drier than the Mojave, drier than the Sahara. I said the driest in the world. We got that. Then we got ice in Punta Arenas, and the next stop is Antarctica. Ice, like baby penguins. Really cold, obviously. And then we have snow, as you had south, and we have rain, and then we have almost no rain, but just enough for grapes. Just enough for grapes, which is like a lot of sun and a little bit of rain, giving us that Mediterranean climate right there in the middle of the longest country in the world. Santiago is in the middle. So it has roughly the climate of like Tuscany in Italy, all right? And like Northern California, that kind of climate. So lots of sun, a little bit of rain, but grapes like a little bit of rain, not a flood. They're very picky, very particular. So one of our biggest exports is wine. Grapes, wine. We make Cabs and Merlots. Now, I'm not a drinker, but boy, do people like Chilean wine. And they like Italian wine. And of course, they like wine from Northern California. They have the Napa Valley, the Sonoma Valley, the Anderson Valley, okay? You go over to our neighbor Argentina, and we have a very, very long border we share with Argentina. And if you just shoot over to Mendoza, pull out the map and look. Mendoza is where we are. It's in the more or less the center of an also very, very vertical country. And you find grapes, and they like to make a kind called Malbec. It's another kind of dark wine. And I've been there. So it's very interesting. Although I have no interest in wine, it's fascinating. And everything, by the way, everything is fascinating to me. Intense curiosity. If you're very curious and you talk to yourself, I constantly talk to myself. Those are, I'm just telling you, those are like age-old signs that you have a lot of intelligence. I mean, Nikola Tesla was famous for talking to himself, extremely curious. Howard Hughes, who had his own aircraft, Hughes Aviation, talked to himself. Benjamin Franklin, Marconi. Think of all the smartest people, the inventors. Thomas Edison talked to himself. I know because I was curious and checked. And curious. Edison went through, they say, about 100 different things before he found tungsten for the filament. They all burned up. And then finally, tungsten. See? Keep on keeping on. Refuse to lose. And to keep trying. Don't quit. And then tungsten. Curiosity. And then we have the light bulb. See? So that's the story. So to finish up, go to stevequayle.com. If you don't think America is going to get blown to bits, there's Chinese dug in everywhere. We have Hezbollah sleeper cells, Hamas sleeper cells, not to mention, and they never get mentioned, what about MS-13? What about the Sinaloa cartel? The country is so filled with people just waiting for their activation message that they hear or read someplace. Go, and then that's it. The country's already conquered, but they want to soften it up even more. Wouldn't you? Soften it up. And one of these days, though, maybe Putin gets tired of having missiles rained in, shot into Russia. Please stop it. Oh, he's a man of peace. He's got the patience of like 50 Jobs. One of these days, the patience is going to end. We want peace. They depict him as this monster. No, he wants peace. He's been calling for peace since February of 22. This has been going on for 3.5 years. I want peace. They want war. All of these countries want war to get rid of the debt. One of these days, okay, be careful what you pray for, because of course they don't pray, because there's no God and there's no Jesus. All these people are wicked. Macron, all of them. The head of Germany, Metz, all of them. The ones you see that came to the White House, let's have peace. No, they want war, because war is the only way they can erase the debt. They're running out of time. You're going to see the start of World War III in September. Martin Armstrong with the Sophia program, again, has never been wrong. The hour is what you call late. If you made it this far, I'm begging you, I'm all about winning souls. I was made to be an evangelist. It's all I do. This is just an extra bonus because my major was political science. UNC Chapel Hill has one of the best political science departments in the world. It's in the top 10. Georgetown got nothing. That's where you go if you want $150,000 a year right out of school for a job inside the District of Criminals. Georgetown, my butt. Oh, Columbia Law. Who else is a good poli-sci school? University of Virginia, by the way. What a coincidence. Atlantic Coast Conference basketball. UNC Chapel Hill's way up there, okay? I just happened to go to the same school as this pig who's never even been questioned? WRAL TV in Raleigh. Send a reporter. You know about it. WBT in Charlotte. WFMY TV in Greensboro, where I had my own show at the age of 16. Send a reporter. Bust this guy. What do you mean a free pass forever? What do you mean he still goes to work every day and in conjunction with a Gillings School of Public Health? I'm sick of it. Now I have to get some breakfast, hit the streets in this very cold, but not frozen tundra. It's not exactly, Punta Arenas, but it's a lot colder than Santiago City. I just somehow pay for it. I don't know why people don't want to support me. If you want to send $25, $30, $50, I need it, okay? I mean, do you really want this humble servant? The shepherd and the prince of Ezekiel 34, 23, and 24, the guy who had 220,000 views of that video, erased by YouTube. I saw it happen. And the CEO, Neil, was so angry. Somebody's ass got canned. What are you doing? Remove the flags from this guy's account. What do you mean? Well, let me see the administration logs. What? Let me see the admin logs. What? Let me see the admin, which stands for administrator logs for this channel, going all the way back to its start, the third week of November 2019. What? Let me see them, and don't you dare destroy them. And then he saw them, and he lost his mind. Remove all the flags from this guy right now. Now they're replacing 220,000 zapped views. I happen to be up, as I commonly am, 3, 4 o'clock. I saw it. I took pictures. Photographs don't lie. He's like, you've got evidence. I'll be damned. He said, I'll be damned. He had no idea. All he does is have dinners with Tim Cook. He's, lobster tail, wine, pate. He misses being in the trenches and getting his hands dirty. He was like, oh, I'm going to have a field day with this. I had no idea. We like to treat everybody in the same fashion. I said, did you know that Larry Page, one of the founders, went to Epstein Island many times? Did you know? He's like, yeah, I heard that. Oh, you heard that, huh? You think your company doesn't have a reputation for worshiping the man they call Lord Lucifer? Yeah. And what about that guy with the bad complexion who was the CEO forever? He also, after being interviewed by Charlie Rose and all these people, he also went on many flights with Bill Clinton. They had like orgies in the air on the Lolita Express. Did you know that? I know about that too. Oh, you know about that. So you shouldn't be too surprised, Mr. Neal. You're a great guy. I'm not accusing you. So you shouldn't be too shocked that one of your network engineers has been effing with my channel and all I want to do, but all you want to do is lead people to accepting Christ. That's correct. Of course I'm hated, okay? Because the war is spiritual. The war is spiritual. Has nothing to do with grenades or drones or nuclear missiles. The real war is spiritual. And Jesus, the Christ, his name isn't Christ, it's Jesus the Christ, Jesus el Cristo, is going to come back really soon. I love him so much. You have no idea. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him. I'm going to cry. And he has given me this double role. And all my friends have abandoned me. He knows I have a heart of gold and I love other people, but not too many love me back. They disappear. And of course he knows I get my feelings hurt when members of this alt media are a-holes and I give it to them on a silver platter. And what do? I think I won't even answer him. Ego, ego, ego. The God is sick of it. Knock it off. Let's play together. There's no I in team. Are we clear? I hate doing this, but I'm fed up. Ralph Baric, your time has come. I want to see your ass indicted. If it's not, I swear I'll fly there. I'll take the reporter by the hand, and I will take the reporter from WRAL TV in Raleigh by the hand and bust your butt. Somebody do it for me. Ralph Baric, your history. You're indicted. Thank you for watching. There's more to come. I have so much more. Right now, I got to hit the streets, okay? Please share this if you liked it. If you want to give a donation, PayPal's at the bottom. I can use it. I had to fly down here. I got the lowest rate for the whole month. Money's so tight always. I eat like broccoli because it's the best vegetable. Also bananas for potassium, vitamins, just the bare minimum. That's why I weigh like 56 kilos. I mean, I'm just plain skinny because, I'm just doing whatever I can to put more butts in heaven. Somebody has to care. How many evangelists can you name? I didn't say missionaries. Sponsored by a church. They get a free apartment, free cable, free water, free gas, free everything. They get a monthly stipend. Well, that's not hard work at all. They go home. We have the Southern Baptist Center in Richmond, Virginia, where I lived for 37 years. They would come home for R&R. No, I'm an evangelist. You can't name any. Joe Kirby, offthecurb.com, K-I-R-B, it's a pun, offthecurb, K-I-R-B.com. It's a YouTube channel. He is a major stud on YouTube, but he also goes out in England and gets his hands dirty. He's a real evangelist. You got to be face to face. Who else can you name? The guy who runs around on a bicycle. Have you ever stolen? Have you told a lie? You just told me you're a liar and a thief. That guy on the bicycle, he tries to play a game of gotcha. Well, he retired. Okay, well, he retired. Who else can you name? Evangelists. Evangelists now, not missionaries. You can't. You can't name one more, can you? There's a guy named Matthew and his wife. Okay, I'll give you one. There's a guy named The Last Evangelist. The Last Evangelist, a former Hollywood type who saw the light. He woke up. He's one. Okay, there's four. Me and three others. That's it. Okay? We deserve support. I'm not going to force you to, but I'm supposed to be playing golf. I've never played golf. I'm supposed to be hunting. I've never hunted. I've never played poker. What have I done? Research. Oh, I know a lot of secrets. Oh, the CIA is all over me. Defense Intelligence Agency, DARPA. Oh, they know, for one thing, that I'm that David. And they can see the future. It's called Project Looking Glass. And some people know, oh, he said that word. That's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not a conspiracy theory. Don't Google search that because you won't find it. They removed it when I said it one time. They always adjust. Project Looking Glass, what's that? It's all these timelines. They can see what people are going to do. They can see into the future. They've seen what I'm going to do, and it scares the poo-poo out of them. I don't quit. I sleep 4 hours a night. Putin sleeps 4 hours a night. I make it happen. I want it more. I'm that Jack Russell Terrier who's going to get that squirrel. Have you ever tried to walk a Jack Russell Terrier? I didn't say a Border Collie. The dog walks you. You talk about wanting that mole, that vole, that squirrel. He's going to get it in his jaws. Damnation. You go, boy. That's your humble servant, David. I want more people to go to heaven. To be clear, it's never been about me. I have the Tom Cruise energy and enthusiasm. We're so much alike. And my goal is to turn Tom Cruise, the biggest movie star in history, he is, check, who doesn't care about his houses. They're investments. Doesn't even drive his Ferrari, his Lamborghini. He likes making movies. If I could transfer that pure passion, that work ethic, let's do the take again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. They're like, again? Yes. He's dedicated to perfection. He's difficult to work for, but people come away with a growth experience. Like, man, that guy really is a perfectionist. So am I. If I could get him to redirect, to rechannel, refunnel what I have too, we're so similar, into Christianity, that would be the worst day in the life of all these witches, warlocks, witch doctors, voodoo madams, members of the Church of Satan, worshippers of Baal, Moloch, Baphomet, etc., the fallen angels, the demons. That's my goal. Shoot high. Go for it. Live life every day. Carpe diem. Vive la vida. Live life. Don't waste any time. Time is precious. My dad dropped dead of a cerebral hemorrhage a week before my 22nd birthday. And I've been away at UNC Chapel Hill. I had to work every weekend on the radio. I paid for 60% of my school. I couldn't go home because I couldn't go home because I had to work every weekend. I really hadn't seen him since age 17. And then he'd been to the doctor, and you're the picture of health. And then he's out painting on a Saturday morning. I get a phone call from my mother. Your father's dead. Your father's dead. A week before my 22nd birthday. What do you think that did to me? You don't know. Maybe you won't wake up the next morning. My Uncle Cliff, so extroverted, such a nice guy. I've got my Uncle Cliff and my grandfather Carswell's personality. Scotch-Irish, so friendly. He's the nicest guys in the world. I hike. He used to run 8 miles a day. Had a 30-inch waist, as do I, at the age of 73 in November. He was 70. He went to bed. Good night, honey. He never woke up. He didn't wake up the next morning. Cliff, he was dead. The picture of health. Good night, honey. God took him the merciful way, but at age 70, I'll be 73. Since my father died a week before my 22nd birthday. Don't you understand how much I miss my father? I miss my father a lot. He was perfect. He was the best dad in the world. He drank milk and iced tea and Coca-Cola. I never even saw a beer. He never even shouted at my mom. He was like Ward Cleaver. My father was the bomb. Not everybody comes from a shitty family. You know, the guys in jail and raised by a mom. No, I came from a great family. Okay? Perfect. Brilliant. Engineer for Carrier air conditioning. He was friends with Dr. Carrier, the inventor of air conditioning. That's why we moved to Syracuse, New York. That's why they have the Carrier Dome. Carrier air conditioning. Brilliant. Prodigy engineer. After World War II, went to Virginia Tech, made straight A's because of the discipline instilled within him. What a work ethic. It was the Air Force that did it. It was called the Army Air Corps then. Straight A's. Mechanical engineering. Okay? Then, everybody wanted him. He went with Carrier in Atlanta. Please move to the home office. Oh, no. Please, for 1 year. Of course, 1 year became 7 years. Snow. Okay? Then we moved to Greensboro. But I mean, like, what I'm trying to say, I'm crying, is if you haven't accepted Jesus, please do so stat, as they say in the medical, like in hospitals. Do it stat. Like on the old show with George Clooney, speaking of which, what a rat fink that guy is. George Clooney. Remember ER? You can still see it? That's when he was really young. Now he's handsome. His father was once the mayor of Cincinnati, Nick Clooney. His aunt is Rosemary Clooney. Maybe you know that, okay? Well, I'm sorry. He's a major globalist, and now you know. But he had a great father. I had a great father. My father dropped dead at the age of 50. My uncle died in his sleep at the age of 70. You don't know. So don't be a wise guy, please. If you're watching this, and because of the historical thing, and you're not a Christian, well, please accept Jesus. The offer is free immediately. You can click on something that I've owned and operated. I wrote it. I paid for it. Every day, every month since January of 2019. Jesus won your race. It's one page. Click below. Do it today. Don't put it off, please. And you'll join me and hopefully lots of others in heaven. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry if I shouted. I'm me. I'm usually, I don't shout, but it's emphasis. I'm trying to emphasize these things, okay? Because you have no idea. Things, you might be watching this in September and go like, well, he was right. He recorded this for the second time. This is better, by the way. This has more photos. He recorded this on August 30th before the SHIT hit the fan. Okay, he was right. Well, I just know what I know. Martin Armstrong says it. The show is about to hit the road. I invented classic rock, so I can tell you anything from A to Z, anything you want to know about it. Invented January 15th, 1981 at WYSB in Philadelphia under my old name, Dick Hungate, Hungate. Dick Hungate? Well, it wasn't a dirty combination at first, but I mean, think about it. You would change your name too, which I did in 2009 outside of Richmond at the courthouse. Okay. I took my mother's name because I am a Carswell. I've got her small frame, almost like a guy from China or Hong Kong or South Korea. Very delicately boned. I'm short. I'm extroverted as can be. I'm a Carswell. So I thought, well, I'm going to change my name away from Dick. All those Adam Sandler movies, don't be a dick. Right? Yeah, I can laugh, but I mean, come on, enough is enough. So once I was out of radio, I changed my name to something, but it had to be David. I didn't want to be David. but I felt this Holy Spirit pressure. You got to be David. Well, I don't want to be David. You've got to be David. Well, I want to be Paul Carswell. You got to be David. I'll never forget the pressure. It's got to be David. Change your name to David. Well, I don't even think David was that great. I mean, he had the thing with, that Bathsheba, and he killed one giant, and the giant was 9 feet tall. Come on, 9 feet. Well, I mean, no, you got to be David. But he wasn't. I mean, he was okay. He killed one giant, but the way they rave about him, you would think he was 40. You've got to be David. I want to be Paul Carswell. The Holy Spirit made me fill in the blank. You've got to be David. And then I found out later, oh, now I know. Oh, I understand completely why it had to be David Carswell, because I am the modern David. Jesus says you're the David 2.0. You were designed by the Father without the gene for addiction. That's why you don't chain smoke, you don't drink, you don't get hooked on things. You're never going to have an affair. There's no possibility, because we corrected that sex addiction, which King David absolutely had. He had to have one more. Read Samuel 1 and 2. It's more women, more women, more women. Even to the point of Bathsheba, he kills the husband. They have a baby. God puts a curse on the family. The baby dies. Two of his sons try to overthrow him. They're called palace coups. You see, that's the one thing he did that broke the father's heart. That affair with Bathsheba. And he had the husband killed. That's called murder, not manslaughter. They made sure it wouldn't happen again. So what'd they do? In my DNA, you will not find the gene for addiction. And you tell me God doesn't exist? Well, he exists. And he had a son named Jesus who came. And he's going to return very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Please share. I love you.